Hello and welcome to Bear Football here on the Barroom Network. John Buffone alongside Aldo Gandia and Tyler Ellis. The Chicago Bears, 41 points. They down the Jacksonville Jaguars. They keep their playoff hopes alive. They are in control of their own destiny, setting up a huge matchup with the Green Bay Packers in Week 17. The Bears had to come out strong in the second half. They answered the bell. They came out swinging. Guys, I heard you guys talking on the halftime report saying there were some things that need cleaned up, but all in all, they were playing pretty well. The second half was going to be crucial in determining how this team really is reacting, and they reacted pretty damn well. Immediate reactions after the clock hit triple zeros. Aldo.
We should start with Tyler because look at him. Look how happy he is. Look at how thrilled he is. Look at him. He's gonna say, "I told you so." Go ahead, brother. Tell us so.
Go ahead, James. What do you got?
No, all I gotta say is this, yo. Start the music. Just welcome to Club Dub, baby. I'm gonna say this dance, baby. This dance. Yo, Ravi in the chat. I see you, baby. I see you in the chat, man. Y'all know what time it is, man. It's Club Dub. Yo, it's a win. It's a good feeling for all Bears Nation. I mean, I think I was saying, like, it really just feels good, John Aldo. Just see, like, man, your investment, like something that you care about, actually like showing up and like showing out. And so it's different when we talk about it, different when we start to see it on the week-to-week basis. And then, but those key positions of just the tight end position, which from the tight end position, it's all over. Even when Aldo, when we said on what needed to be worked on and what they responded back to in a big way, the fact that we got to take our backups out. So much to cover. Aldo, what'd you get, bro?
Yeah, there is a lot to cover. You know, we talked at length at the halftime report. Let's not, panic here about how the defense is playing or the offense and so forth. Let's see all four quarters of the action. And so, as to my expectations, they came out and dominated and won the game in the fashion that we wanted them to and expect them to as a playoff contender. This Jacksonville Jaguar team, they have the worst defense in the NFL. The Bears went in at halftime, made the necessary corrections. It was executed almost flawlessly. There were some mistakes, clearly. And then the defense did what they had to do. So a lot of positives and so forth. Somebody in the chat room just posted, I'm glad that they won, but I'm worried about next week. Well, yeah, the Green Bay Packers, like it or not, are a damn good football team. And if we have to beat them in order to get in, it's not a guarantee. But at least we're trending upwards. We're trending towards better. There's better play and a better scheme for running the ball, a better scheme suited to Mitch Trubisky's strengths. And there's some positives coming out of this defense, and hopefully we'll get back Jalen Johnson at the cornerback position because I think we miss him very much. And Kindle Vildor is playing well for a young rookie, but not well enough. And so we'd like to get as many starters back as possible.
Sure. And I said last week that I want to see them play the Green Bay Packers, and I want to see them with the season on the line for this. And obviously, you can make the case that this team has been in playoff mode for the last 3 weeks, but really, the playoffs start next week. If you want, for all intents and purposes, win and you're in. Control your destiny, beat the Green Bay Packers, and you get to go to the playoffs. And here's another thing. Let's say Green Bay does rest their starters, or they have them in for half the game or whatever. You get to take a shot at a damn good team for a certain amount of time. Really test your mettle. See what this new look or retooled or whatever the hell you want to call it Bears team for the last 4 weeks looks. Really test it against that team, and if you can beat that team and get to the playoffs, you have a lot more confidence rolling in there because you know that you weren't just beating the Lions, or they didn't beat the Lions, but you're not just beating the Jaguars or the Texans. You were able to hold your own against the Packers, and I think that'll go a long way. If they are able to beat Green Bay, that's going to be a nice launching pad into the playoffs. And I've been saying for weeks they could fall ass backwards into the playoffs. But if they can beat the Vikings and they take care of the Jaguars and they take care of the Packers, that's a big if. If they can, they're not really falling ass backwards into the playoffs as much as they're going in with momentum. So that everyone should be somewhat, nervous about the game, but should be really excited about the game because you can beat the Green Bay Packers to get into the playoffs. You can beat the team that we hate the most to get into the playoffs, and we can basically treat this like a playoff game because essentially it's win or go home. And that's leading up to a really, really exciting Week 17, something we didn't think we were going to see in Chicago, something we did not plan on seeing, a really important game in Week 17 in the midst of a 6-game losing streak. So this is a huge win, regardless of who it was, because it sets the table for an even bigger game next week.
I'm not scared of the Packers. We should not be scared of the Packers. Not at all. This is what we've been waiting for, John. When we were 5-1, we said that we need to win 4 more games. We need to win 4 more games, and that was the deal. Mm-hmm. No, bro, not scared at all. We're gonna slow this down real quick. Mitch Trubisky, John, we're going to slow this down real quick. I want to go around the table real quick and see what y'all was going to say. No, we're going to bring it back to freaking Mitch, dog.
All right.
My man Mitch. Like, what? He threw the silly pick, but guess what? Players mess up sometimes. Like, that's how the saying goes. Like, he made one mistake. He came back and he led his team, Aldo. He came back and he did what he had to do. Allen Robinson didn't get it. 10 catches, 100+ yards?
Yeah.
What? Somebody has to throw him the ball, ladies and gentlemen. Somebody threw him the ball. Oh, yeah. Cole Kmet and Jimmy Graham productive. Tight end position, productivity on a weekly basis. This is the Chicago Bears? What? No. David Montgomery? Over 400. Damn it. Ooh, almost cursed. Over 500 yards?
You did curse.
I did curse. Excuse me, Father. Over 500 yards over the last 2-3 games? That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Mr. Trubisky, is this about the presence? It's about how his teammates respond to him. We need to talk about this. Mr. Trubisky, when you have Mr. Trubisky and Montgomery performing like that, dude, you could do different things in the draft, John. If you got quarterbacks playing at a higher level, if you got key positions playing at a higher level, you could do things in the draft, bro. And I'm just proud, bro.
No, you're 100% right, and we talked a little bit about that next week. If they feel confident in the quarterback position and they are able to bring back Mitch Trubisky, there are some things that have to happen there on both sides, but it's very possible that it could happen. Then you can go and use your high picks and address the tackle positions, which you're going to have to address at some point. However, the interior part of that line is still looking pretty good with Sam Mustipher, Cody Whitehair. Alex Bars will probably be the swing guard next year, which is a hell of a good swing guard. And then you're gonna have James Daniels back next year. So the interior part of that line is looking pretty good. If you don't have to spend it, and it doesn't look like they're going to have a high enough draft pick to really go out and get a top quarterback anyway, but you can really address the outer parts of that line, the left tackle, potentially right tackle. But you're right. Mr. Trubisky is facilitating the ball well. And I don't think any one of us is thinking that he is ever going to be a Patrick Mahomes-like quarterback, and I don't think that's what his game is, but I think what they're doing right now is tailor fit to what his abilities are. They're rolling him out, they're getting him on the edge, and he has a guy in Allen Robinson, which is a whole show in itself, and we don't have to go too deep into that and how much I think Allen Robinson should be back on this team next year one way or the other. But the fact that you can have a guy that can bring down 10 catches for 100 yards, you have a guy in David Montgomery who is really just he's finally producing the way that we all believed he could produce. And that a big reason of that is because of the play of the offensive line. We're seeing the offensive line get a better push. We're seeing David Montgomery not get met in the backfield the second that he touches the ball, and he's able to use that vision. He's able to see the holes and break off some runs. And he's also able to catch the ball out of the backfield. So to be kind of a Mitch security blanket. You're right about the tight ends. They showed up and they produced when they had to. Still hate that end around play in the end zone of the Cole Kmet thing. Not gonna get too drawn down on that. But you're right. Mr. Trubisky is playing some of his best football right now. And if they can keep that momentum going and keep that game plan, it will be interesting to see how it goes up against a team like the Green Bay Packers. Let's see how that stacks up against a team like Green Bay or whoever they might play in the first round. God willing, they get there. How does it stack up against a team like New Orleans or Seattle or whoever it is that they would have to play? So this is an exciting time because there's a lot of unknown, but there's always unknown around the Chicago Bears. About 4 weeks ago, it was unknown about who was going to be the new GM or who's going to be the new quarterback, who's going to be the new head coach. Now it's unknown because they're saying, well, how is this team really going to perform in the playoffs if they get there? So it's been like this for the entirety of 2020. We're finally going back up the hill. Let's hope that it kind of just stays there for a while, because I don't want to plummet quite yet.
Yeah. Mitch played well. There were some times where mechanically he looked a little bit off. He threw a couple passes, flat-footed. The first touchdown that he threw to Jimmy Graham, I thought was an outstanding throw from a mechanic standpoint. I mean, everything went well in terms of him pointing the left foot at the target, about him turning his hips, getting some speed ball behind it. Let's take a look at that touchdown pass.
Ryan Nall is in the background, in the backfield now. The pass over the middle, touchdown. That's Graham on the receiving end.
And that's part of what makes him a really good quarterback, is those kinds of throws. And so I'm glad that Matt Nagy and Bill Lazor have.
Now, did you see that?
I saw it. Yeah, I saw it.
Run it back one time. I know. Run it back one time on him.
Ryan Nall is in the background, in the backfield now. The pass over the middle, touchdown.
Mitch said, hey, shout out to my brother George. He said, I'm surgical with this. He said, I'm surgical with this, Jake.
No, and you're right. I was watching that. I was watching the first half on my phone, and when I saw that, I got to see it on a little 4-inch screen, and I got to see him, like, he really drove into that throw. That was a perfect throw for that situation. So that he did make some really mature throws. But every quarterback who isn't, upper, top 3, top 5 are going to have some of those errant throws, some of those interesting or bad decisions that he made. That's going to happen. You're going to have to take that sometimes without having, one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the entire NFL. But right now, what we're seeing is a winning formula. What they're able to do right now can win you ball games because they can control the ball, they can run the ball, they are able to go off of play action. They're moving Mitch out when Mitch needs to run the ball. He will run the ball. This is something that this is what we've been saying. I mean, we're not saying anything that's all of a sudden just this epiphany. Bears fans and people on this show have been saying that for the better part of 2.5 years. Mm-hmm. Now, and finally, we're seeing it come to fruition. I'm not saying any of us should be up for head coaching jobs or up for GM jobs, but this is what we've been talking about for 2.5 years, that if you're going to make Mitch Trubisky effective, if he's going to be your guy, if you are dead set on him being your starting quarterback, you can't do what you were doing in 2019. That does not work. That does not play to his strengths. What does play to his strengths is what they're doing now, getting him on the move, going out of play action, and making sure you have a damn good run game to complement that. And that's kind of what they've been doing for the last couple of weeks. Once again, really interested to see how it goes up against a team like Green Bay if they have their starters in.
Ravi in the chat room is challenging us, saying, well, how can he grow? Hasn't he kind of reached his peak? And I'll show you an example of how he is.
Robbie said that?
Robbie
Robbie, I know you didn't say that, man.
Here's an example is,
this is 2nd and 2. Trubisky on the move. Gonna keep it to the end zone for the touchdown.
Let's
that
go.
Is a perfect example where, as last week he threw an interception as opposed to making the decision to run. That's his first rushing touchdown of the season, and he clearly could have had 2 or 3 more if he would have made that decision to say, hey, I don't see anybody open. I should either throw the ball away or see if there's a running lane into the end zone. The guy is so gifted athletically as a running quarterback. He has to use that, and we've seen more of that from a play calling perspective. There's been some designed runs, but he also has to call his own number when he's out there, just like he did with that touchdown.
The Packers left out of here 24-20 with a victory. Like the Mitch Trubisky had 21 points today himself. You see what I'm saying? That's just telling you something of what we actually have. John, you're absolutely right. This is what we've been asking for. But it's funny that it's actually happening, and it's all at the right time. Like the defense, they were bending, but it didn't break. You see what I'm saying? They clamped down. Yeah. Really, we really had probably the best third quarter 21 points in the third quarter. Probably the most epic performance of defense and offense to go swing like that. After that back-to-back touchdown field goal game to come out the quarter. So hats off to Matt Nagy for that, because we could say a lot of things, but for him to not to say something to keep us in the dogfight, because it was a dogfight. We talked about at halftime. Weather the storm. You got to weather the storm. I expected it to be a dogfight. Mm-hmm. But if we can just keep throwing darts, just keep jabbing, John, just keep jabbing. I knew they was going to fold.
Yeah.
Because we had outside containment. And when Roquan Smith freaking came back, I don't know with the pick, bro. Game on, just execute.
Yeah, and listen, I get some of the concerns over the defense. That's all valid. What some of the points that people are making, but there's no denying that sometimes, or a lot of the times, when they need a play, that defense will make the play, whether it's a turnover or a sack or a turnover on downs, which we saw last week. We have been seeing some holes in the defense, but we've also seen them step up and make plays when they have to. And in today's NFL, if your defense is what the Chicago Bears have, and I'm not saying they're the 2018 defense or the 05 or 06 defense. They're not that. But in today's NFL, if you can have pretty good to really good defensive play like the Bears have shown they can do, you can win like that. And we're seeing them win like that. Yeah, they're getting gashed, and we saw some long runs, and we saw Dalvin Cook chew them up a little bit last week, but they can win if the offense kind of pulls its weight, because you can have good defensive play, good offensive play, and that's enough to win in today's NFL, where it's just like, okay, we gotta hold them to 10, and hopefully the offense can score. That's what they were trying to do with Nick Foles. That's not what was working. Now they're scoring an adequate amount of points. The defense doesn't have to be this all-time shutdown kind of defense that we are expecting it to be, or we want it to be, or we feel like they have to be to win all these games. They can be good. They can put in a good, solid performance, get a few turnovers, or force a few field goals, and if the offense is still pulling its weight, then they will still be in a position to win the ball game. I think in Chicago, we're just so used to saying the defense has to be elite and they have to hold them to 10 points or we are screwed. And if the offense can keep performing like this, then you don't have to have that kind of defense. You can just have a real solid performance with a couple of takeaways, and that's going to be enough to win the ball game.
This offense for the Jaguars, they scored 27 points against the Colts. They scored 30 at Tennessee. They scored 25 at Cincinnati. They scored 29 at Los Angeles against the Chargers. They scored 20 at Green Bay against the Packers. I could go on. The weakness of the Jaguars is not their offense, it's their defense, which ranks last. And the Bears took advantage of that defense by putting up 40 plus points. And the Bears defense, they bent a couple of times in that. I think the Jaguars had 5 drives in that first half, and they turned the ball over once, and Roquan Smith got an interception, and they had 2 drives of 70 plus yards. Yeah, you don't want to see that, but they came away with just 10 points on those 2 drives, and that to me is respectable. And yes, it's not the 85 Bears. Yes, it's not the 2018 Bears. Those defenses come along, once every several years. And given that, we've got some starters out and nicked up and so forth, one of the great things about today for the defense and some of the starters is that they got the whole fourth quarter off and part of the third quarter. Khalil Mack resting, and we know how much he needs that rest. So that was a good news. This defense, I wouldn't be so quick to, say that it was a disappointing performance. Yeah, again, it's not what we expect, like John said, but I thought they played fairly well. Fairly well. You talking about the Jaguars played well? The Bears defense, I thought they played fairly well against this Jaguars offense. Absolutely. I mean, because without that last touchdown pass, the starters were out, so we're not really counting that. And so when the starters were in, it was 40 to 10. It was like they only gave us 10 points. That 10 points was the first half when they were still figuring things out. And so the defense clamped up very well. Bend but don't break. We started to attack the passing lanes. That was the difference, Aldo. When we talk at halftime, that's what they were not doing. Mm-hmm. They actually did what we said, John. It's crazy. They actually did it. Oh my God! But because guess what? But credit to the coaching staff. Make the adjustment. That's why now, John, I'm more encouraged about going to the playoffs.
in-game adjustments. That's what we saw that's what we saw Miami do. To take up Tua to put in Fitzpatrick, making in-game adjustments, making the call, get rid of your freaking ego, do what's best for the team. And he came back out and Mitch delivered. After Mitch didn't fold, we're getting elite play from key positions. You don't gotta be number one in the league, but get 2 to 3 stops. And you get Mitch is delivering multiple passes to 6 different receivers. And the running back's getting 20 plus attempts of productivity. That softened them up. That's something.
Yeah. And looking at this thing holistically, they have a team that is more balanced now than it has been throughout the entire year. For whenever they were 5-1 to the 6-game losing streak, it was all about the defense was they were top 5 in points allowed, and they were holding teams to 17 points per game, and that's what was necessary because they could not score. Now we're seeing the Bears can run the ball. They can win time of possession. They can throw the ball a little bit now too as well. And now if the defense, if they let a big play go or they take a gamble on a blitz, they're not going to pay for it for the rest of the game, and they can make it back up with another play. So what we're seeing is both phases, offense and defense. The defense has gotten they've regressed a little bit, but what you're seeing is at least there's a balance now where it's not like the defense has to play top 5 and maybe we can get a top 20 performance out of the offense. We're finally seeing those two meet a little bit, and the offense starting to pull its weight. Once again, I'm hammering away at this, but you don't need this elite shutdown, hold everybody to 5 points kind of thing. If you can score 25 points, that your defense is well within their means to put in a solid performance. It's not like they have it's not like they have one of those Peyton Manning defenses where you got to score 45 points to win the game. They have a good defense with some solid players, and they're missing some guys. So there's going to be plenty of opportunities for this defense to really make plays and turn games around. Let's hope that it starts next week against Green Bay. I think that's going to be I don't know exactly. We got to see how things shake out. I mean, we're recording this directly after the game. We're live right now, so I don't know exactly what Green Bay will be playing for, if anything. But
I want a full force. I want them. I want all the starters to play. No, I hope they play.
I'm with Taylor.
I want the best freaking play for them, John. Because
I don't mind it.
This is when Mitch, like right now, Mitch.
I said this last week. This has been effective against the Texans. It was effective against the Vikings, a Vikings team in which their head coach Mike Zimmer said this is the worst defense I've ever had. And you've done it against the Jaguars, which rank last statistically in a lot of things. So don't worry, I'm getting to my point here, and you're gonna like my point, Tyler. I'm saying this is a chance for them to push that aside and say we're gonna beat a good team. We're gonna beat the NFC North champions to catapult ourselves into the playoffs. That's why I want to see this team go up against some of the starters, all of the starters in Green Bay, because you want to prove that this new efficient Mitch offense is the way to go. Go up and beat the NFC North champions so you can go into the playoffs. Beat them at full strength. Take that momentum into the playoffs, because you're going to be playing a team that says we can't take the Bears lightly because they just smoked the Green Bay Packers to get into the playoffs, and the Packers had something to play for. They played all their starters. So, that's going to be an incredible measuring stick for this team. If Green Bay has all of their starters in there, after what Green Bay did to them the first time, this could go a long way in seeing what the Bears and what the kind of progression the Bears have made in the last month.
We've had a lot of great comments in the chat room, and one of them is talking about, several of them are talking about David Montgomery's role in this offense and how important he is going to be against the Green Bay Packers. And Montgomery had another solid day today. I put up on Twitter that this offense really should be the David Montgomery offense. And I don't mean that as any offense towards Mitchell Trubisky. Mitchell Trubisky still is going to need to make big-time throws. He's still going to need to throw touchdown passes. He's still going to do all sorts of things. But to have the offense kind of, the identity, something that the Bears coaches and team players talk about all the time, the identity of the offense, it has to be with David Montgomery. He's a major catalyst for this offense. This is him running to set up his touchdown run. It's just a beautiful run, well blocked. And then this is the touchdown run that he takes it in. And again, this is David Montgomery. And we need him just as badly as we need Mitchell Trubisky playing at the level that he's playing. Those two guys are Batman and Robin, and then Allen Robinson is, Spider-Man or whatever.
Yes, Aldo, you're on point, man. Because guess what? Montgomery been there. Like it's not like he wasn't there before. He had like a little ankle, but he was there. It's something about with Mitch. It's something about with Mitch. Montgomery has more rushing yards the last 4 games than he did the previous combined. There's something about that. You just can't make those numbers up. Allen Robinson, where's he at right now? Is he top 10? Is he top 10 in receiving yards?
Yeah.
Like this is just like you can't just. But it's a team effort, and so I'm with you. I love Montgomery. I mean, that's what we want. We want something close to Peyton. Nobody would ever catch him, but it's just cool to see the Chicago be able to run the football because we know doing that. We want to win the playoffs is by running the football. We don't want to be. I don't want to be cute. I mean, it's cool sometimes, but you gotta have to run that ball. You're gonna have to run the ball, and the way Montgomery runs angry, he runs forward. Is what everything we wanted from Joe Howard and more. And so it was really dope to have it work out because, John, guess what? Once again, you don't got to spend a high pick on that running back position now. You could take that. You don't got to spend super high money in that room. So it just allows the front office to do different things when you see these young guys panning out.
And I don't think anyone ever thought they had to address that. I'll get to this after we listen to Matt Nagy.
Yeah, we got Nagy ready, so excuse me as I bring him in.
That wasn't nearly as bad in my opinion. But again, they called it, and it was a good call by them. So in that situation, I just want to make sure that he was okay, number one, and then number two, that that they get the call right, which they did, and I credit them for that. And they did a great job. The rest did a great job looking at that.
JJ,
Matt, in the third quarter, you kind of start out with that RPO, get that early completion, then you go for it on that 4th down. Were you just feeling like the offense is in a bit of a rhythm at that point when you got to that 4th down and that kind of led to that decision?
Yeah, we knew, in that position right there, it's a longer, whether you're in the punt or whether you're in the go for it and the field goal, and there's just so many things that go into it. And I think also it shows confidence in your players making plays at crucial times, and our guys did that. And that's important. You have guys that understand that you're going to put the ball in their hands, and that was definitely a turning point, in my opinion, to be able to do that. And that's real, and it's a credit to the players.
Dan Wiederer.
Matt, as you probably know, the third quarter has not been your strong suit this year. What jump-started that in the third quarter? And also, as you go into week 17, what gives you the most juice about where you guys are at right now?
I would say the third quarter thing, I'll be completely honest with everybody on this call. I have no idea. We've studied it. We've looked at it. It's crazy, the amount of struggle we've had in that third quarter. So I don't know. I don't know when I'll know. But we played well today.
You didn't say that?
Part of it is going to be, I think when the season ends, you go back, you say, okay, how many possessions did you get the ball to start the third quarter versus a team that gets the ball to start the third? You have less possession. And then also, are you getting 3 and outs on defense to give you more possession? So, and then are you being productive on offense? And today we did all that. We were able to be productive on offense. We scored touchdowns, and our defense got stops and got the ball back. So you put all that together, and it jumpstarts you, and that happens in the third quarter. And then what was the next one?
Yeah, as far as just going into week 17, right now, what gives you the most juice about where you guys are at?
Well, you win 3 in a row. You feel good about scoring points. I mean, our offense scoring points right now, putting up touchdowns, and we even had a couple right in the red zone that you look back and you realize, okay, man, we could have maybe had even more. And so, but I thought for the most part they did a good job of scoring touchdowns. And then so you start winning. You get out of that losing streak that we had. We had a message for the last 3 weeks about where we're going and what we're doing together. And they've completely done it. This credit goes to all the players and the coaches, and they've responded, and they've put us now in a situation where it could have went a lot different direction, and it hasn't. Now, we control things, and that's, as we told you last week, we weren't going to stop or overlook this team. They're a good football team, and they play hard. And I know their record, all that, but they play hard. And now we got to reshift here to a big division opponent in Green Bay.
Kevin Fishbane.
Hey, Matt, what was the message to Mitch at halftime, and what were your conversations? And then what stood out to you about what he did then in the third quarter?
Next play mentality. That's it. That's literally what we talked about. Forget it. Next play. Are you upset or angry about it? Yeah, we all are. But you know what? We learn from it, move on. Don't even think about it. We go in at halftime. We figure out what the hell we're going to do on offense and get points and keep this mojo going. And that's exactly what he did. So again, he's doing a lot of great things, and he's helping us out offensively. And there's a lot of confidence right now collectively.
Pat Finley.
Hey, Matt, the performance from A-Rob today, where does that rank among the games that you've been with him? He seemed dialed in, particularly getting you first downs as often as he did.
Yeah, it was big. You have a game like this, and he ends up making plays on crucial third downs. And, again, for him to have 100 catches here against his former team, it's pretty cool. But you get to a point where you realize a player like him that makes these plays and does this well to help our team out. It's just the confidence keeps growing with these guys, and he's a big part of the success.
Brad Biggs.
Hey, Matt, along with the success you guys have been able to have here in the third quarter a little bit recently, opening drive of the game, it seems like you guys have been better at that as well. Is that kind of getting dialed in with the first 15 that I'm sure you and Bill kind of do collectively? And then I had a second question. I was just wondering on the Cole Kmet run, are you trying to catch him off balance there, or what's the thinking behind the play? I'm sure you guys would like back.
Yeah. You know what? So I'll start with the first question. Well, in regards to Cole, I'll go to Cole. In the game right there, you're like, you're in a position where you got the ball at the 1 yard line, and that play really looked good all week in practice. And everybody there probably knew that was coming, and we all felt it. And we got them to jump. Well, we didn't get them, but they jumped off sides, I think, and then they ended up giving a different look. Credit to them. And if there's a play where we all look back and say, darn, you get the ball at the 1 yard line, you come across with 3 points. That one's one that you look back at. But our guys rebounded. They came back from that. What was the first question?
Go ahead, Brad.
What was your first one, Brad?
The opening drive. A little more dialed in with the scripted calls early. What goes into that?
Yeah, it's just for the number one, the players, right? No matter what plays are called, who's calling them, when they're called, all that, all season long, it always is going to come down to being able to execute, right? And I just think that right now our players, right? You look back to the beginning of the year, you look back to the last couple games, they're really feeling good and executing, every play that is called. And so we always get together as a staff, and we talk through. I think that's kind of the part that I was getting to too. Like we talk through, okay, schematically, what stuff do we like?
He wants to call the plays again. It because now he's thinking to himself, man, they're executing the plays now. Maybe if I call them, we'll score 60 points a game. He wants to.
Don't fix that which is not broken.
That should have been the answer. I'm staying away from it. It's out of my hands. Talk to Bill. It would have been awesome if he would have said,
yeah.
You guys want to talk about the offense? Talk to Bill.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome. I would have felt, oh, snap. We are going to win Super Bowl.
Yeah. You know that we still see those little wrinkles of like that irritable, angry. Like when I see the Matt Nagy play, where I see it's the first down and goal, and it's a sweep to Cole Kmet. I'm just like, why? What are we trying to prove? Like what?
Excuse me for interrupting. I don't mind, trying a play like that, because what you're doing is you're telling future opponents, hey, we may not run it down the gut, and you're playing the Jaguars, you got to lead and so forth. So I don't mind showing something different, but there should be, he just said they threw us a different look. So shouldn't there be the option there for the quarterback to say, okay, they're throwing us a different look, let's just go back to the good old fashioned run it down the gut, something like that.
Right.
Let me tell you why I hate it, because all we talk about is the identity, and get back to enforce your will against your opponent and over physical somebody. This doesn't have to be chess when it can easily be checkers, where you just say, we're going to blow you off the line. You are one of the worst defenses in the league. We're going to prove that. We're going to jam it down your throat. We don't need to run a finesse play with Cole Kmet or any other tight end. If you want to do that, do it with Darnell Mooney or do it with somebody else. If you really want to get to the edge and you want to be fast about it. But if you're gonna just be on the 1 yard line and you need to win this game, I don't care about showing other teams what we might do in 3 weeks. I want to win the damn football game, and that means I'm going to jam the ball down your throat, and I'm going to score. I don't care if I'm doing it with finesse. I don't care if that was like, ooh, what a clever call, or hey, no one saw that coming. Well, they did see it coming, and it was terrible. But that's the one. That's just one thing that's the one thing I'll harp on. Other than that, everything was everything. And once again, overall. Good performance. Just on that particular play, I hate those things. I'm not gonna be angry about it. But
you're making a good point. You're making a good point, because guess what? It's only so many mistakes that you can actually pick from. That we were talking about game changing plays. When we're talking about, make sure you can think back to a time that we would not have won this game. We should get some appreciation. I think the Bears nation can slow down for a second and think about how far we've come to one. How about getting 3 first downs back to back? How about moving the football? Like, for real. Don't forget, be humble or be humbled. Because Rex Grossman wasn't that long ago. Okay. And I didn't like Rex. I was rooting for him. But you see what I'm saying? But Josh, to what Mitch has been able to do with Allen Robinson, to throw him open. It's one thing to throw it to him, but he's throwing it to Allen Robinson in stride where he can catch it and get hips upfield. That is big. Allen Robinson getting 4 yards after that yak. He's getting yak money. You see what I'm saying? And that's great. That's great things for a quarterback wide receiver relationship. Once again, going back to what you're doing in the offseason. All these different things are playing a factor. Well, I'm very encouraged about where this team is going. Nagy, you stay away, dog. Yeah. Do your thing. The guys are getting open, and Mitch is executing.
I want to give you just a round of applause, because that was a seamless transition from me bitching about Cole Kmet on an end around to you talking about something Trubisky did wonderful throughout the game. That was just so smooth to just be like, that was a stupid play. Did you see all the awesome things Mitch did, by the way? I love that.
He caught on.
There's always a segue or a transition. Yeah, the defense needs to make plays, but the way that Trubisky is throwing Allen Robinson open, it's just but you're right. No, and what you said is correct. And you're seeing the highlights. If you're watching the video version of this, you're seeing he throws really well off the run, and you see it again. He moves up the pocket, drives the ball, hits Jimmy Graham right where he has to do it, right where he has to. And some of the other plays where he's going off of that rollout action, he does throw the ball well while moving. I think that we've seen that throughout his career, and you get him, you kind of just cut things in half, and you show him that side of the field, and he can make things happen. So overall, it was a really solid performance. And like I said before, he doesn't have to be the 500 yards a game guy and throws 6 touchdowns. I mean, he has thrown 6 touchdowns, but he doesn't have to be that guy that has to win the game on his own if they can run the ball. If the defense can get you a couple plays, if you roll him out and you give him a kind of 1 read, 2 read, throw it, or check down or touchdown, check down kind of thing. Give him just kind of simplifying it for him and play to his strengths. They can win like that. Well, once again, I want to see what it's like going up against the best team in the division if they play their starters. That's going to be very interesting for me to watch, and I'm hopeful, but I'm also we'll just say intrigued. We'll go with intrigue.
we got some guys in the chat room, man. They're having great discussions, man. My man ATF, he made a good point. Mitch is bouncing back after making mistakes. That is clutch. I mean, you think about Chicago Bears history after how many times after we make a mistake we used to fold? That'd be the game. If somebody throw that would be it. It would just be a dog opponent show the rest of the game. But that's what it takes. Why I feel like we're confident against other teams in the NFC, John. If Mitch can play this the whole way through, he didn't finish the game. Mitch got to go out the game. What? So he had 3 touchdowns. So what he was able to do by the executing basis, I mean, bro, and going back to your coach Komet, bro, that was silly. But I like how our coach was willing to use his athleticism and some capability, because even in his catches, when Cole gets the ball, he drives his legs. And that's what I love about my man Komet. And so get him the ball. Get him.
Yeah, I agree. I'd prefer to throw him the ball, but if they're going to try to run it, if they're going to try to run it, fine. And I'm not going to harp on that. I'm not going to make that the focal point of a discussion, because it was one play. I didn't like it. A lot of people didn't like it, but they won the ball game, and they made a lot more better good plays than they did bad in this game, obviously. But I guess going into the the Green Bay game, do you just assume that they're going to try to do the same thing? What if they can't establish the run game? I think they've been doing a much better job at that. But let's say they can't establish that run game, and they're trying to make the Bears one-dimensional. Is that going to be a dire problem for Chicago in that game?
We've heard the Packers in the past say before, we want Mitch to play quarterback against us.
That's why I brought that up.
And so they are definitely going to stop the run. They're going to be geared to stopping David Montgomery and anything on the ground game. The hope is that this newly revamped offensive line is going to have much better success at blowing the Packers defensive line off the field, off the line of scrimmage, and creating some holes, and that Mitch is going to make the right decisions on play action passes and so forth. So
that's it.
Yeah, it's still going to be contingent on creating a run game in order to beat the Packers, and also extremely contingent on holding Aaron Rodgers down. Somebody in the chat room was talking about Aaron Rodgers and we got to sack him. That's not necessarily the strategy to withhold, to contain Aaron Rodgers. The strategy is to keep him in the pocket. You don't want him running out of the pocket and having 8-10 seconds to find a guy open downfield. You have got to, the outside rushers have to have contained, make sure he doesn't leave the pocket, and then the inside rush has to push his offensive lineman right into his face. You got to get him to panic. You got to get him to disrupt throws, and you need excellent coverage, Kyle Fuller, on Devontae Adams. And you also have to take advantage of every miscue they make. Kyle Fuller, when they throw the ball at you, you got to come up with the interception. And I'm confident that these guys can do that. Now, that's just my confidence. They got to go out there and do it. So it's going to be the most fascinating game of the year. And I wouldn't be surprised if NBC says, let's put this game on Sunday Night Football, because it's Bears Packers, baby.
Aldo, you're right on point, even with when you talk about the defense, who's going to be on. Because, John, when we talk about how the Bears are going to score, we have to talk about the fact that it's going to be pressure to score, because if we don't stop them, the Packers are going to score. So it's one thing to be in a game, right, where nobody's scoring and you score a touchdown, okay. But if the Packers are scoring, say the Packers scored 3 on their first 3 drives, touchdown, now it's 21-0 because they're scoring air possession. That's pressure on Mitch to perform. It's different when it's like that. So we're not going to get the stops. It's a different ball game. So our defense will be tested, because to go with Aldo, with the key to stopping him is getting them to 3rd and long, get him to 3rd and long, so everything underneath, they're going to throw the underneath to Adams, and he's going to try to make you miss. That's what he's going to – we have to be disciplined. So that will be the challenge. But can the offense score? If we can score, we put pressure on them. So that's the different ball game. Can Mitch, like Otto just said, execute, find the open person, change field position? Can we establish the way Montgomery has been running? I would suggest that we will be able to run the ball. I think that he will be able to run the ball. He has been showing burst at the top of his routes. We're running the ball. I've been seeing him getting to a dead-on sprint. We're getting to the sideline. I mean, he's making an effort to get open with his stiff arm, with his shoulder. I mean, the one guy had his head and his legs were still moving. That's a heck of an effort from our running back. And so I think we will run through the Packers when we get there, because I think the Packers going to get ran through tonight. They about to go through Derrick Henry. And it's cold. Nobody wants to tackle Derrick Henry anyway. On top of that, it's cold. I was to my brother earlier. So they're about to get softened up for David Montgomery tonight.
Yeah, and that's why I think Bears fans should definitely watch that game, because the Titans, I'm not going to say they're exactly the same, but they're going to try to do a similar thing to what the Bears might try to do, and that's try to establish that run game. They're going to try to get Ryan Tannehill moving out and trying to hit his receivers on the run a little bit. So it'll be a nice kind of a preview to see what that can do against the Green Bay defense. And it sounds like we got Mitch on, so I'll go ahead and shut up.
Milliseconds. And it turned out to be a bad decision, but the DB fell down, and I was trying to give A-Rob a chance to make a big play, but I just got to continue to stay within this offense and stay within myself, just to make better decisions for this offense. And as for the second touchdown, we had a little double move on with Jimmy, and we had man coverage. And he ran a great route. The safety that was covering him fell down, and I just put in a spot where only he could catch it, and he stayed on his feet and made he fell at the end, but he made a great grab. That was a big play for us.
Kevin Fishbane.
Mitch, I know it's been obviously a challenge for the offense over the past couple of years to stack games back to back to back, and you guys have now had 4 in a row with 30-plus points. Franchise hasn't done that in 65 years. What is the feeling like for you as a quarterback to just have that confidence now week in, week out that you guys are operating at this level?
I think it does give us confidence, and I think it all starts with an expectation, just having a high expectation for ourselves in this offense that this is what we're capable of and nothing less is going to be acceptable. So I think if we just have that mentality and are locked in at practice and are just demanding of each other while also having each other's backs with throughout the process, we can continue to keep growing and progressing, and who knows what we can do within this offense. But we got to be proud of the work, but also know that the expectations are higher and higher for us each week when we keep getting better.
Joe Phillips.
All right, congratulations, Mitch, on the win today. This question is for next week's game. How important is it to come out as game busters against the Packers after what they did in the last game against you guys?
Yeah, it's going to be huge. We know what's at stake this weekend. We're going to enjoy the win tonight and then start preparation tomorrow. But it just sets up for a special opportunity to finish our season strong against a rival like this. So it's a must-win game, just like these last couple of games have been. And we definitely want to play our best ball and finish strong. So we just got to keep getting better. Go back to work this week. Have a great week of practice, and go out there to give ourselves a great chance on Sunday.
Couple more. Mark Grody.
Mitch, I know you discussed what the thriving offense means for the team, but what has this meant to you personally? It's been a crazy season for you.
It's been good. I just feel lucky and blessed to be able to play, to be back in this offense, to be out there with my guys playing. And it's been a crazy season, but I'm just fortunate to be out there, to be able to play, and to be able to help this team win. So I just love our mindset, where we're at right now, how we keep getting better, how we battled through adversity. Not only myself, but we battled adversity as a team, and we just continue to come closer together. And that's how you create special memories, just getting through the tough times and enjoying the great times together. So we got a great opportunity this week to continue to finish strong and get better, and that's what I'm looking forward to. And it's been a fun ride.
Last one, Brad Biggs.
Mitch, were you able to watch the 49ers win last night? If so, where were you guys at? What was the mood like? How did that go down?
I didn't watch it. I was just checking the score because I know when I watch games, it won't work out the way I want them to. So I was just checking the score. I was getting updates and texts from other people. I was trying not to pay attention. But a great game by the 49ers. I got to shout out my guy, CJ Beathard. We trained together coming out for the combine. He played really well. So I'm happy for CJ and them, and they really helped us out.
Thanks, Mitch.
Thanks, guys.
What do you guys think? There's somebody in the chat room just said Mitch sounds like a guy who is getting ready to leave the Chicago Bears. You guys sense that at all? There, it's my man Ravi again.
Yeah, Ravi, man. You give me mixed emotions, man. I'm laughing. You want me? You got me laughing. This minute, I'm like, what are you talking about, bro? No, bro. I know he ain't leaving.
He ain't leaving.
He look like he in the zone, dog. Look at these numbers, bro. 265 of them things. Come on. At the end of the day, let's win the Super Bowl this year. Let's just focus on the mission at hand. We win the Super Bowl. Go wherever you want, dog. Go wherever you want. Yeah. Everybody that we got right now is who we got, John. We got Mac and the boys. Win right now, and I feel like we got a chance to punch some people in the mouth because our team is finally executing to be one of the fourth teams of all time to, after having a 6-game losing streak, to actually make the playoffs, and we control that.
Yeah, and I think that one thing that stood out to me, and I think I saw somebody commented on it, I'm not sure, but I remember making a mental note of it whenever Nick Foles went in and he did deliver his one pass, and it was about 5 yards off his target, and I was just like, oh man, that ain't it, man. But as far as it, I don't want to get too much into. I want to know what his body language or his tone was, or whether or not he's out of Chicago. I don't know if we can really make a really good prediction from that. But I think that what you are seeing is a more confident guy. I think that he's more comfortable as the quarterback of this team than he's ever been. And I think a lot of that has to do from going through the benching and coming back and maybe feel like you're playing with house money, and also finally having a system where you feel comfortable running it, where it's actually playing to your strengths, doing what you do well. No one, I mean, if I were I was a sports reporter for years, and if someone said, "All right, John, tomorrow you're a pretty good reporter. You're going to be nothing but cops. You're going to be you're going to be on the cops beat." I'm like, oh, I'm a good reporter, but I don't know what the first thing about with the cops beat. So of course I'm going to be a little uncomfortable, and I'm going to be I'm not going to be confident in my skills to do that because I'm not really comfortable in that setting. Same with Mitch saying, "All right, Mitch, you're going to run this Matt Nagy offense. You doesn't really play to your strengths. You're going to be a pocket guy. We don't want you running too much, and then we want you to go through these 25,000 progressions, and you also need a master's in nuclear physics to understand it." So he's finally in a system that's working well for him, and they're executing well. I want to keep talking about what we were talking about before he came in. About this Green Bay game. And I think it's going to be a big test to the defense as well, because we saw that, well, it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, because people say, well, if you blitz Rodgers, he's going to eat it up. And you got to, but we saw what they did when they only rushed 3 against Aaron Rodgers. He had like 10 seconds to throw the ball, and he was hitting the open guys left and right. So it's going to be vital for them to try to get pressure on Rodgers. I'm not saying that they got to throw the house at him, but they got to do something, whether it's with a front 4 or they got to send an extra guy or something, because you cannot give Aaron Rodgers as much time as they did in the last game. I know you're leaving yourself open if you bring some of those blitzers, but they tried that in the last game, and he had a half an hour to throw the ball. So they have got to find a way to get a little bit of pressure, maybe not by having 2 blitzers, 1 blitzer, to get something going. They got to get a push up front, and if they can do that, then they can make some of those big stops.
I just you have to be careful when you blitz Aaron Rodgers. He, like all of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL, knows how to take advantage of blitzes. So if you're going to blitz, they have to be exotic, disguised blitzes where he doesn't know where the blitz is coming from. You have to surprise him, because if you're going to telegraph that Roquan Smith is going to blitz up the middle, you are dead because he's going to complete a pass to his tight end for 20 yards over the middle. So you've got to be careful.
Look at that.
But I don't mind that so much. The problem on that particular play, because I've studied that particular play, is why. Let me see if I can go back here. Hold on. Why is Danny Trevathan out there? And look at Robert Quinn. Why is he out there? If you're going and then they only rushed 3 guys on this particular play, so that's part of the problem. You always have to send in 4 guys, and on a 3rd down and 10, you've got to load it up with defensive backs like DeAndre Houston Carson. He had a good game today. He should be seeing snaps out there instead of Danny Trevathan. And Robert Quinn, when he's out on the football field on a 3rd down and 10, he should be smelling
at the quarterback.
meat. He should be going after Aaron Rodgers in a big time way, not all the way in the end zone trying to stop a pass. On the very first completion today against Jacksonville to the tight end, who was guarding him? It was Robert Quinn. He was down in the 3-point stance, and then he runs out to guard the tight end. I'm like, what is going on here? This is ridiculous. So Pagano, who always starts off his press conferences saying, I have to do a better job. I agree with you, Chuck. You do. You do. You got to stop trying to be the smartest man in the room. I understand about disguising defenses. I understand about having some versatility and so forth. But having Robert Quinn guarding people downfield, that's ridiculous.
What did you pay him for, though? Aldo, you paid him to go after the quarterback. You brought him in. You guaranteed him $30 million to sack the quarterback. Leonard Floyd could do that. Leonard Floyd was good in run coverage, and Leonard Floyd could stick with a tight end if you asked him to. You paid the money for Robert Quinn to go after the quarterback. And if you keep dropping him back to play coverage, especially against the Packers in a 3rd and 10, where like you said, at least bring 4. They only brought 3, but at least bring 4. And Robert Quinn should be one of them. So I'm not trying to, break down I'm not trying to break down a game from a month ago, but at the same time, they are playing the Packers next week. So if they're going to have a better outcome than they did last time, that's something to look at and be like, why the hell was Robert Quinn in the end zone trying to deflect a pass? Why was he not? Why did we only rush 3? Why was Robert Quinn not even going after the quarterback in that situation?
Right.
They got a lot of tape from that Green Bay game to say, that's not that we can't do it this time. They got plenty of stuff to know what they shouldn't be doing. So let's hope that they can change that around.
Gentlemen, one thing that we got to remember that we have on our side is the fact that they should be coaching for their jobs. They should still be coaching with that sense of urgency to tell them, like, yo, this is make or break. This is make or break. This is like, if you don't win these games, you don't go to the playoffs. Like that, it should be that type of sense of urgency, John. So at the same time, I don't want to say we're using fear, but it's like you want to show some type of, like, what you're doing. You belong here. You belong to be our coach of the Bears. You are putting the people in the best position to be successful. You are. I mean, think about it. That number 1 wide receiver role was filled. Number 2, Mooney showing up, and so people are being put in position to be successful. That's all that we can ask for. That I just think, what I'm saying, going forward against the Packers, I just think the Packers are going to get a dose of what they're not used to if we can convert on 3rd down as an offense. That's the question mark when it comes to the Bears and Packers. Can the Bears convert on 3rd down on offense? That's really it. I mean, it is that simple. That's every NFL game. But for some reason, we can't let the Packers get a lead, or is Mitch going to take it to it? That's when it comes down to that, John. It's really that simple.
But I think it also comes down to something that everyone says against the Packers and everyone says against elite quarterbacks. You cannot trade 7 for 3. So if the Packers are going to score touchdowns, you got to score touchdowns. You can't take it to the 8. You cannot take it to the 8-yard line and then stall out and then just take a field goal, because a lot of the times that ain't going to do it. And we've seen plenty of times where you can kick 3 field goals and still lose by three possessions. You got to score touchdowns against a team like the Packers, especially if they're full bore. And they could very well have something to play for. Everyone keeps saying that they might rest their starters. If they lose tonight, and then if they lose to the Titans tonight, they got to win next week. They got to win next week. If they fall, and even if they win tonight, I think they still. I mean, they can't afford to lose to the Bears. Then if they beat the they beat the Titans, lose to the Bears, and then the Seahawks and the Saints win, I don't think they can afford that. I think they're going to play this game to win.
Right.
And the fact that most of these Week 17 games, and that's why I don't think this game gets flexed to Sunday night, because if the Cardinals lose, then this Bears game means essentially nothing because they have the tiebreaker. So I don't think it will be flexed to Sunday night. So I think that on these Week 17 games, all these games are happening at the same time. The Packers aren't going to be like, okay, well, the Saints are winning. Let's pull everybody. Oh, the Seahawks are losing. Let's just pull everybody. These games are going to be going on at the same time, and if they have something to play for, or if they feel like they can't afford to lose, Aaron Rodgers is going to be out there for 4 quarters. So,
Right.
and I don't, and I said this last week. Don't think that the Packers wouldn't just like to keep the Bears out of the playoffs either. Don't feel like there's just something that wouldn't be a little extra sweet for the Packers to say the Bears had this nice little comeback season. We put a halt to that in Week 17. So that there is, I think, a little bit of that as well. So I think the Packers have plenty to play for next week. I don't think we're going to see much of the resting of the starters. So I think we're going to see full strength versus full strength next week.
Hey guys, let me show you something from that first Packers Bears game in Week 12. This highlight here will show you that David Montgomery and the Bears can run on this Packers defense. Look at this run right up the gut. I mean, he splits the linebackers for a huge gain, and then on the subsequent play, I think it's the subsequent play. I think this is it here. Watch the pass, and then. Is this Cole Kmet? Cole Kmet, stretches out over the end line, over the end zone line, and commits a turnover. And this is what you just can't do against the Packers. You can't commit these kinds of mistakes. So those 2 replays there. Let's see it again here. This was Cole Kmet. I don't know if they ruled that. I don't recall if they ruled that a reception or not. So it was called. An incomplete.
I think they ended up getting a field goal out of this.
Okay, yeah. And so on 3rd and goal, Mitch throwing off his back foot here. A-Rob, one of those contested catches that he has not made this season. If you have any complaint about A-Rob this year, is that he has missed on some of those contested catches, but nonetheless, he is still a superstar in this league. But I thought that series there really illustrated a lot of what we can expect against the Green Bay Packers, and that is David Montgomery rushing for big yardage. He can carve up that Packers defense. And then secondly, we can throw effectively downfield. We just have to hold on. We have to make the big play and so forth. A-Rob, you got to come down with those catches. Cole Kmet, you got to come down with those catches. So that series, I think, exemplifies really what the team was in Week 12, and then what it can be in Week 17 against the Green Bay Packers.
Aldo, you're exactly right. Hold on, brother John, real quick. I'm about to bust out my damn shirt. Aldo, you're exactly right, brother, because this is the time to smack John. John, we're gonna go with the aspect that the full Packers are coming into town, that we're going to see the real Packers. That's the mindset, cool, because this is an opportunity for not just to us. This is such a monumental game. But Aldo, I'm encouraged because everything that you just said, everything by that footage, I'm encouraged because we have improved in every single thing that you just showed. Every single thing we've improved on that run. I mean, Montgomery has only run more since then. I mean, remember the running game was pretty much inexistent before the bye week. That was one of the issues, and that was an embarrassment coming out of the bye week with that performance, getting beat with a 40 burger coming out the bye. It's embarrassing. Mm-hmm. So Montgomery, we're running the ball better. Cole Kmet has been nothing but clutch for besides the one run to John. But it's not his fault. He's just a player.
Yeah, he's just a player.
But getting a ball, a 3rd and goal, a 2nd and goal, Cole Kmet has played his position very well next to Jimmy Graham, and I'm encouraged by all these things that we can take it to the Packers. And I think this is freaking big, y'all. Y'all talking, I'm like, yo, wait a minute. Damn, forget everything. This cannot be more Disney movie, Netflix. Like Mr. Trubisky, John. Green Bay Packers, dog. Week 17, and you gotta have it. Dog, I'm about to, please, God, don't let me curse.
Yeah.
Forget everything. Mitch, dog, you can't write a better story, dog.
Yes, I will say, Aldo, that sequence that you just showed, that whole video sequence of that series, that makes my point even more what I was making before, because if you recall, the Packers missed the extra point on their first touchdown, so they were up 6-0. If the Bears are able to cash in on there, either Cole Kmet brings in that catch or Allen Robinson makes that catch, they can go up 7-6, and we're talking about a different tone. But instead, they settled for a field goal, and I think that was just one of those letdown things, because the Packers drove right down the Bears' throat on that first drive, and it was basically a flawless drive. If the Bears come back swinging, they say, all right, you scored, now we got our own going. David Montgomery rips off this big run inside the 10-yard line, and you settle for 3 points. And I just don't think that is not something that is going to fly against the Green Bay Packers next week or ever, as long as Aaron Rodgers is still in the league. So this is stuff they have tightened up since then. But if you see if you're inside the 10-yard line against the Packers, you better score a touchdown, because 3 points isn't going to get you very far. So you saw this sequence. You're about to see the throw to Allen Robinson right here. You really hope he brings that down, because if he brings that down, they kick the extra point and they're winning 7-6. And then you have a different tone of that game. And you're going shot for shot, but at least you didn't kind of waste that long run by Montgomery where you really is like, man, you should have scored there. So if they can shore that up, they got a chance. They got a chance to win that ball game. There's no reason why they shouldn't be closer in that ball game.
And that's the exciting part about it. That game, what was that? That was week 12. That was the last time we scored below 30 points, ladies and gentlemen. That was the last time the Bears.
They might need it again.
Every game since then, the Bears have scored 30+ points in every single football game, John. That's crazy. That's crazy.
And they might need it again next week.
But we still had a loss, but we scored that. But it's crazy. But now, as we see it all coming together, because the defense was still bleeding at different points. But now, with the way Roquan Smith and Danny Trevathan are playing, remember Danny Trevathan in the beginning of the season? He was getting beat a lot by some running backs. I remember saying some things on that. But those things have been shored up, and the flats have been contained pretty well. Like Otto just said, you keep Aaron Rodgers without running around. It's hard to do. We know what to do. It's hard to do it. It's hard to do it. Don't let him out. Don't let him out. But if Akeem Hicks is going to be pounding his chest in the middle of the field, you know we got a chance. I don't care about the analysts. Forget the numbers, bro. It's the Packers, dog. This is a different ball game. This is a body slam everybody. Body slam everybody. and make away from this.
I hope they bring that intensity, because they're going to need it, and I think that they have a chance in this ball game. And like I said before, it might be more of a test for the defense to keep them in the game now, because what we're seeing out of the offense, they could put up 20, 25 points, maybe 30 points. And to your point, I think they may need every one of those points. That's why I don't want to see field goals next week. I want to see Cairo Santos kicking extra points, because they are going to need all of those points going into next week.
Willie D58 says we are all still getting smacked by the Bay.
The Bay that we just beat. He's talking about Tampa Bay, is he?
I think he's talking about Green Bay. I smell a Packer fan in the bar room. Guys, beat him up.
Well, I'd be confident if I were them too. I mean, I understand the confidence level. But I will say I'm more confident in the Bears' chances this week than I was going into that game after the bye, just because of what they were going through, how poorly they were playing, and just nothing was working. I will have a higher level of confidence going into the game in week 17. But let's not fool ourselves that they are going to have to play a hell of a game to beat the Green Bay Packers, given that all of the starters are going to play for Green Bay. Let's not pretend like the Bears can make a bunch of mistakes and still win that game. They're going to have to.
I mean, why not? I mean, hold on. Is it too much to think that our Chicago Bears are elite? Is it too much?
Yeah. It is.
They won 4 NFL games in a row. Is it too much to say
they lost 6 in a row?
Okay, I remember that. What have you done for me lately?
Yeah. Okay.
John, who's to say? I'm saying on a couple things. One, The Packers are a good team. But I think they're going to get exposed tonight. I think the Packers going to get exposed tonight. I don't know. I think
better late than never, I guess.
I think Tennessee is an underdog, but I think Tennessee is going to show us some things. We'll see. We'll see. But I think Tennessee's going to run through them. I may be wrong, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But I feel like our coaching staff is going to be watching that, John. I feel like
you're right.
We can be confident going to this game. We expect less of our Bears because we're going by our trauma past. That's what's holding us back. We're protecting our hearts from this feeling. No, it can't be. But remember the Giants? Remember Jay Cutler's 6 concussion game? The Giants was one of the worst teams in the league, and the Giants won 6 games the rest of that season, went on to win the Super Bowl. And so, it only takes just to get it right. Remember Nick Foles? How did Nick Foles win his ring?
You're right.
Crazy things have happened, bro. Crazy
things have happened. I think it's also crazy. It's crazy to call them elite right now. I'm not saying they can't catch fire and win ball games. I'm not saying they're not going to be a favorite in any of those games. So I can't call them elite.
But how cool is it when we talk about breaking down the season in quarters, breaking down the season in the quarters, and the Bears just won 4 straight? That's pretty dope. Even for like, if we could be hard on, say we're gonna say, man, our team sucks. They just won 4 in a row, bro. You know how hard it is to win in the NFL when the Jaguars just lost 14 in a row.
Yeah, and the Browns lost to the Jets today, although they didn't have any of their receivers, so they were a little hamstrung there. But
the Jets just beat the freaking Rams. John?
Yeah.
No, man. Anybody can beat anybody, dog. No, dog.
Yeah. I understand.
Where was Aaron Donald at with the Jets, though?
Exactly. I understand that anybody can beat anybody, but there is a reason why the best teams tend to win more.
We ain't the same Bears. All I'm saying, we ain't the same Bears. Can't wait, yo.
I get it.
We've been in the gym. We've been in the gym.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Us and the Bears. Even Aldo's getting his workouts in now. But right there. But that's why I'm so excited for this Green Bay game, because it's the final. It's not the final, but it's one of those things where it's just like, if you want to.
Hold on a second, John. Here, excuse me for interrupting. We got Nino Sorrell saying, "I've been watching for a while, John, and you low-key hate on the Bears a lot, man, or you don't have enough faith." LOL.
Nah.
Nino, where the hell have you been the last 3 years? Honest to God. Yeah, I don't have okay. I didn't have enough faith because they lost 6 in a row, and I thought that they can fall into the playoffs. I'm just being real about it. Do I want this team to win? Absolutely. I love this team more than anything, which is why I get so mad at it.
Bro, you don't got to explain yourself. I got you, bro.
Nah, he was joking.
I know.
I'm not. I took no offense to it.
But I got you, bro. I got you. Hey, yo, John,
it's all good fun.
Don't question this man. But that was a funny comment. But don't question this man.
Appreciate it.
Hey, I'm telling you, it really is weird because, like, Danny Shimon, who is an outstanding scout here at the Barroom, I posted something about Mitch Trubisky and just plainly asking the question, should there be a consideration about signing him to an extension contract? And so Danny immediately came down on me and saying, this guy, he hasn't done anything. He's still a deer in the headlights, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, first of all, dude, I just asked a question. I'm not making a judgment here. Now, if you want to ask my judgment, I'm not making any decisions until I see the end of his play this season. If he comes out against Green Bay and he throws 3 interceptions, then I'm going to be, holy cow, we got to try to figure out something, But if he comes out and has the type of game that he has had the last several weeks, knowing that the offensive coaches of this team have figured out a way to amplify his positives, then I'm going to say, yeah, Mitch, please send your agent in here. Let's talk about an extension because I want you to be the Chicago Bears quarterback. I'm also going to draft a quarterback in the second round or third round. But he's the best solution on this team. If you think that Nick Foles is better as a starter next year, or that you think that there's going to be a second round quarterback better than the Mitch Trubisky that we've seen the last few weeks, I'm sorry, you're wrong. And Danny, I'm going to disagree with you on the next show that we do. I just feel it in my heart that right now, Mitch Trubisky, he is trending up. And is he ever going to be Aaron Rodgers? Probably not. Hell no, probably not. But he can be Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill is playing some damn good quarterback in the NFL right now.
Well, and this, let me jump in real quick because this is one of the things that I said about Mr. Trubisky probably 2-3 years ago, where I said, even if his ceiling is Alex Smith, Alex Smith had some damn good years in the NFL when he played for Kansas City with San Francisco and currently playing for Washington. I said, I get it. Alex Smith, former number 1 overall pick. He's not going to be a world beater, probably not even going to be a Hall of Famer, but he was a guy that a team could win with if they put the right people around him. I see that as the kind of the Mitch Trubisky kind of because it kind of shadows that a little bit, where Mitch Trubisky's never going to be the guy. He's never going to be a Tom Brady. He's not going to be a Peyton Manning. He's not going to be that guy who's just going to say, well, it doesn't matter who we got around. He's going to make everyone around him better. I don't know if that's ever going to be him. I don't think it's ever going to be him. But if you put a system around him where you have a good defense, a good running game, and a good line, I know you could say that for almost anyone, but I'm serious about Mitch, where you say you really can let his strengths shine, then you can win with him. But then is that ever going to be enough to win a Super Bowl? That's a question. Maybe, yeah. And it could be. But this is a guy that you need to build around. He's not going to be that, okay, we got the quarterback, everything else will just fall in place. So that's the question that needs to be asked. And Aldo, to your point, if he goes out and lays a complete egg against Green Bay, let's say he has a terrible game, which I don't think he will. I think he's going to have a solid performance against Green Bay. I don't expect him to completely fall flat. I think that he's going to have a good day. But let's just, for the sake of this argument, say he goes out and throws 2 interceptions. He only has a 50% completion percentage. He throws for 124 yards or something like that. Then the argument becomes, well, he's a guy that can beat the Texans and the Vikings when they have a terrible defense, and he can beat the Jaguars. But look what happens when he plays the NFC North champion. And that's going to be a conversation, regardless of whether it's a conversation between us or between the GM or between the ownership or the head coach. That's probably something that's going to come up to say, what's the level of competition and can he be successful against that?
Everybody, Mitch should be getting a free slate right now. Like we're comparing Mitch to what we're seeing right now. Do we want to believe it yet versus what we've been seeing when he was still and with respectfully being held back from what he could be? But I don't even think, first of all, a couple things. If you and Danny talk about Mitch, call me, man. I'll jump in that conversation real quick. I don't care where I'm at. You want to talk about Mitch Trubisky? I'll talk about Mitch Trubisky any day of the week, any time of the week.
I love it. We'll do
that. But the fact of the matter is he's executing right now. The future, everything will decide itself. And so at the end of the day, everything was needed. Even an extension before or after, I felt like if Mitch Trubisky was under contract for the next 3 years, he wouldn't be playing like this. I felt like, John, a player, it's like Cinderella Man. It's like Cinderella Man. You had to know what you was fighting for. That's what happens when you have it take. That's respectfully, I'm gonna get serious real quick. That's why when players get suspended for the NFL, this is what I hope they feel when something's taken away from you. And when you come back, how much do you treasure the game? It's the same thing when you're not playing well and you're benched. Your lifespan is short. If you're not starting, you become into a cesspool of trying to get a job then. And so Mr. Trubisky trying to make it work within his rookie year contract with the up and down to come back like this is so freaking admirable, man. It's so admirable, but he was ready. This is freaking Eye of the Tiger. This is Rocky, all of that, John. This is blood sports, bro, because to come back and to perform for your teammates. And now you got the running game. You got everybody. Everything's clicking. The running game. You got Allen Robinson, Montgomery. Everybody is producing, and Mr. Trubisky is leading. We don't have to think we don't have to talk negative and think what's going to happen. We're doing it. We're freaking doing it, and that's going to be it. I mean, that's really going to be it. We've done it the last 4 weeks. There's no reason to do nothing different. Mitch, find the open receiver. The hot route. Guess what? Guess who else was good against the blitz today, ladies and gentlemen? Mr. Trubisky on back-to-back blitzes, back-to-back first downs in the third quarter, ladies and gentlemen, when it mattered. Our quarterback is doing the same thing that these other quarterbacks is doing. That's why I feel like we should be very confident.
And you know, to be fair here, like on this final drive before the Roquan Smith interception that helped us get the 3 points, Mitch did a great job of moving the ball downfield, getting us into the red zone, but then he makes this stupid mistake here. Now, the protection here is outstanding. He does get fleshed out of the pocket because of Charles Leno's couldn't contain his block for a long period, but Mitch, with his great skill of keeping the play alive, much like Aaron Rodgers. But the thing is that he makes that fatal mistake. For some reason, right now, he's looking towards the right corner of the end zone, and I don't know what he saw here, but all I see here is too many people to throw a jump ball pass to. That was a huge mistake. It ends up being an interception, and that's what he's got to clear up, because it seems like there's every game where there's just that one little mistake. And when you play a team like the Green Bay Packers next week, you can't have that. I mean, maybe you can get away with it if the defense is having one of their stellar days, but you just don't want to see that from your quarterback, Mitchell Trubisky.
But guess what? It was a 3 and out. We got the ball back. We kicked the field goal. Interception didn't happen. It had no impact on the game. You just forget about it. Didn't happen. Didn't happen.
We can't pretend it did not happen.
What are you talking about? They didn't score.
Cannot pretend that things that happened did not happen, because eventually there will be consequences to that. There were none for this one, but there could be eventually.
All I remember is that we got the ball back just like that. That's freaking Chicago. That's Chicago, man. You couldn't write a better story. I mean, we want these things to happen, but we're just surprised when all three phases comes together. When you have special teams, defense, offense on the same accord, bro, it's scary. And for Nagy to play your position from afar and just lead by paint the vision and let the guys execute. It's a different ball game. It's a different ball game, whatever you want to call it. But guys are executing. I'm proud. I'm happy for this guy Mooney. And so, it's going to be Mitch has to execute. And remember Tua and out Miami. All the talk. You could talk so much. Guys have the talent, but when you're in that position, when the pressure hits next week, Mitch, that's pressure. We're gonna see Mitch. We know Mitch is capable. I know he's physically possible of doing it. Mitch can throw 6 TDs. We've seen him do it. He can do it. Can he do it tomorrow with the pressure? There's going to be no fans in the stands. It's mad people looking at you. You see what I'm saying? It's different. We watching the game, but these guys are out there. They got to perform. Can he handle the pressure? We're going to see next week. Who Mitch is he down for the cause? And John, I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you, if Mitch beats these freaking Packers next week, dog. Yeah.
No, I agree. I could not agree more. If he goes out and he beats the Packers, and he is a intricate part of winning, which he's going to have to be. So if he goes out and beats the Green Bay Packers, and that's what gets them into the playoffs, that is changing the narrative on it, because then it's not you're not just beating the Texans, you're not just beating a bad Vikings defense, you're not just beating the Jaguars. You go out and you have a good game against a team that has something to play for. They might have something to play for in Week 17. They're the NFC North champions, and they want to keep you out of the playoffs. You need to win to get into the playoffs. We're not talking about just, beating tomato cans anymore. We're talking about winning a big game in a big situation with a lot of eyeballs on you. There won't be anyone in the stands, but there will be a lot of eyeballs on you, like you said. So this is one of those, I don't want to say career defining, but it's one of those defining moments. It's one of those defining moments.
It is totally career defining. It is totally career defining moment, bro. Nah, this is when you got to show up. Everything that you did, everything leads up to this moment. And so, but Mr. Trubisky, Mr. Ohio, left Ohio to go to North Carolina, all those different things. The things that Ryan is crazy. the things that Ryan Pace saw in him that made him draft him are the characteristics that's showing up right now. It's crazy.
Well, I got to tell you this. We need to talk about this news that John told me about that had come out before the game, and that is that the Bears reportedly will retain Matt Nagy as their head coach in 2021, according to Jeremy Fowler of ESPN. And this, again, is before the game today. So Nagy is currently 28-19 with the Bears through 3 seasons. So what do you guys think about this news that the Bears are going to bring back Matt Nagy? And so clearly Ryan Pace comes back as well.
Yeah, I think those two are attached at the hip. I don't think you bring in, if you are dead set on retaining Matt Nagy, you're not going to bring in a GM who is basically you're saying that's who your head coach has to be. So it sounds like they're going to, if that is true and they are going to retain Matt Nagy, then Ryan Pace is going to be back as well. Now the conditions on that, who knows? Is that a vote of confidence, or is that saying, hey, you turned something around that was bad? You probably took too long to realize what the adjustments had to be, but we're going to give you another chance in a year that's not filled with the shortened COVID preseason or training camp. You're going to that's probably good news for Mitch Trubisky, because that if they're going to run it back, he's probably your best bet. So you're going to bring him maybe back on a 1-year prove-it deal. Maybe it's all one big prove-it year for Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace and Mitch Trubisky, where it says, you know what? There were a lot of things that went on this year. You rebounded. You didn't mail it in. If they make the playoffs, that's all the better for their case. But it could be one of those playoff mandate years that we hear about, where it's just like, we're going to give you a prove-it year. Make it happen. And so we're going to see, and if that's the case, we're going to see more of this. The Bears are all in on winning, and they're going to be all in on winning in 2021. If that's the case, you're gonna see more maybe of these short-term moves be made to try to win again in 2021.
Well, to be clear, is that Matt Nagy is still on the contract for 2 more years, and so Ryan Pace
and Pace is one
right
for
now,
1 more year.
I think his name is Robert Zimmerman, who works over at Sirius XM Radio, said that there was a report that somebody told him that Nagy sometime during the season had quietly signed an extension, or 1-year extension to match.
You mean Pace?
Pace to match up with Matt Nagy's deal, because
right.
It would make sense that you want them on the same deal. And Greg Gabriel and I talked about it. He goes, man, I'm pretty sure that I heard that too from somewhere. So he's going to check his sources, and said he would report back on that on tomorrow's show. So clearly, with everything that has happened, the Bears' resurgence in the 1-loss column, the whole COVID situation, it just seems to me that Bears management is going to err on the side of being extra cautious and say, you guys deserve another chance. You guys have done enough to give us another chance. And who knows, like, again, we've said earlier, the season isn't over. They could make a run in the playoffs, and then we would hate the idea of even talking about potentially Nagy and Pace leaving, So, Tyler, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think it shows stability. We don't want change just for the sake of change. We don't know, like, when you do those things, you just completely start over, and that sucks too. That's a whole nother process. And so the fact that you're keeping Nagy is because of what we saw. We saw now 4 wins in a row, but they made that decision when it was 3 wins in a row. So the fact of the matter is, you built that cushion with those 5 W's. You built that cushion, and so the front office saw that they were character was defined through that adversity. And at the fact that we didn't, though, if we would have lost those games, they wouldn't have said that. They only made that statement when there was action produced. How often does a NFL team just going to say that, volunteer that information? It was because of the results and what was happening. They seeing the same thing that we seeing. If we're seeing a change, why change it? Especially if it's this positive. If we're playing at this level, we've doubled our points. We've done the opposite of what the Pittsburgh Steelers have done. What the Steelers have done is like we switch places. So it's like Space Jam. It's like Space Jam, John. It's just like literally, because it's like we've doubled our offensive output over the last 4 games. And so If that's what it takes to keep everything the same, cool, bro. I don't matter, dog. If we win the games, stay right there. You can be the head coach. Matt Nagy, you're a good guy. Tell everybody how good they are. Tell them where they need to be on time for their meetings. If this is what it takes to work, we get improved roster. I'm cool.
Yeah. I could understand the rationale to wanting to give them another year, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to excuse the same conversations that I said that they should have been having at the end of the year anyway. If you plan on bringing them back, I still want to have a sit down and say, well, Matt, why did it take so long for you guys to realize that Rashard Coward wasn't the guy? Or why did it take so long to find the right formula at the offensive line? Why did it take so long when you said Cole Kmet needed to get more reps? Why did it actually take so long for him to get in there? Why were you so quick to put Nick Foles in, but were so resistant to put Mr. Trubisky back in, knowing that Foles wasn't working? There still needs to be a conversation. I don't know who that conversation is with, because I don't think Ted Phillips is going to be the guy that's going to have that conversation. I don't think Ryan Pace is going to have that conversation with Matt Nagy. But I would still like someone to sit down with this current group and say, explain to me what went wrong so we have a better understanding of how not to do it, or explain why this didn't work, or explain why you did this when you did. That's increasing accountability, and it's also increasing the spotlight on check your ego, because it's not like we don't notice this stuff's going on. Why did it take so long for this to happen? Or why couldn't you get this to work? Or whatever it is. I wish that someone still sits down with them and has those tough conversations and gets tough questions with tough answers, so that we can keep those egos in check, where Matt Nagy says, okay, this is why they brought me back, because we were able to adapt and find something that worked, where I was able to delegate and hand off play calling ability. Yeah, Matt, why did it take you so long to give up play calling abilities? And why did it work so well when you did? So these are tough questions that need tough answers. And if you are able to check yourself and say, well, I learned a lot this year, and next year, if we do bring Trubisky back, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to play to his strengths. I'm still not going to call plays. Bill Lazor is going to continue to call plays. We know what the formula works on the offensive line, where we understand what happens now. If you're able to show that flexibility, or you're able to show that you can adjust and check your ego and say, I don't need to be the end all see all. We don't have to run the Matt Nagy, biblical offense. Then good. But I also think that next year is going to be, even if they extended pace, they're still going to run them parallel. So if they have a great year, they have a cushion year to bring them back. Let's just say they make a hell of a run in 2021. They make it to the NFC Championship game, or God willing, the Super Bowl. Then they don't have to talk. They don't have to worry about them going somewhere. They have that cushion year that they extended them, so they're still under contract. But I still think next year is one of those prove it, make or break. Show us that last year you figured it out. Show us that with a full year with Mr. Trubisky, with John DeFilippo, is going to make big strides. Show us that under normal circumstances this team can win and be one of the top teams in the league. Prove it. And if you don't, then you have to cut bait with both of them with 1 year left on their deals. Which what we see all the time anyway. You never see a GM play out the last year of his contract and then they sign him. You never see you rarely see a coach on the final year of his contract without an extension. So it's never going to be like, oh, we'll just let them play out the rest of their contract and then fire him. I don't think that happens very often. If a GM's playing well, or a GM's doing well, they extend him with 1 or 2 years left on the contract. Same with the coach. If he has 1 or 2 years left on the contract, they extend him before it even gets to that point. So I still think that next year is one of those make or break things.
Hey, let's excuse me for interrupting. Let's take a quick look at what Olin Kreutz said about the offensive line. This was posted on Bears Talk, the NBC Sports Chicago after game show. So I found it here. It's 20 seconds long. Let's see what he says.
Best play of the first quarter, Jaguars blitz. Mitch picks it up, beats it for a first down throw to Darnell Mooney.
Just want to say that a different way. The O-line picked it up.
Nice. Nice. There it is.
I'm just reading what he wrote.
Look how many guys are on the field, Cap. That's not just Mitch.
All right. Play of the first.
There you go. Olin giving respect out to the offensive line. It wasn't Mitch that picked it up. It was the O-line, and that's the way it should be. The O-line always gets underappreciated. You don't hear a lot of people giving Charles Leno shit anymore, and I am a Charles Leno defender. He had a good game today, and he's had a lot of good games this season. Again, I'm going to get on my soapbox now. Charles Leno is one of the top 15 left tackles in the NFL. I know he's gotten run over by 180-pound defensive backs. That's because he was off balance, not because he's a weakling. All the left tackles in football make mistakes. You look at the most penalized left tackles in the NFL, they are usually the best left tackles in the NFL. David Bakhtiari from the Green Bay Packers, considered by many as the best left tackle in the NFL, he's among the league leaders in holding penalties. And so I'm not saying that Charles Leno is as good as Bakhtiari. I'm saying that Charles Leno is the 15th best, 16th best, 17th best. He's certainly not the 32nd best like a lot of people make him out to be. Charles Leno can do a good job. Now, he's going to come out against the Green Bay Packers. He'll make a mistake here or there. But again, so do lots of other left tackles. It's a very difficult position to play. And you really, really need to kind of put it in context to what other left tackles are doing in the NFL. And then as to Olin's point about the entire offensive line, kudos again. This offensive line is playing really good. I only detected one really bad mistake, and I talked about it in the halftime show when Tyler and I came on together. Sam Mustipher switched over from trying to pick up the right, helping the right guard on a rush, and then went over to his left, and he basically shielded Cody Whitehair from blocking the defender that he was faced up with, and that led to that strip sack of Trubisky, and unfortunately the ball bounced right back to Trubisky. But aside from that, this offensive line has been playing good. Their fundamentals are better. They're getting better and better as a team. I really do believe that Sam Mustipher's communication skills at that center position is a big part of the reason why this offensive line is playing better. Let's remember that the biggest responsibility that the offensive center has for a football team is telling people on that line, you got this guy, you got this guy, I got this guy, and so forth, and calling that out. And that is just much better than how Cody Whitehair has done it, and definitely a lot better than James Daniels has done it. So kudos to the offensive line. I didn't want to finish this show without giving them some props.
Absolutely.
Well deserved.
Guys, you want to go around for final thoughts?
Absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Gaines, take it away.
My man. And so, final thoughts. Man, the Bears took care of business. That's dope. I mean, it's funny when things just work out that way. It's just like it is a game, and it's dope to enjoy. First and foremost, we hope everybody had a safe, happy holiday, had a Merry Christmas and everything. Being the last Sunday of the year, the last Sunday of 2020, we can say a lot of negative things that happened, but we can say a lot of things that we learned about ourselves, of getting to spend time with our families and being able to appreciate a football game, a game that brings people together for reasons that they didn't even know about before, or it makes families stronger. And so just want to say thank you all for tuning in. We don't take that for granted. You all sharing your time with us on a Sunday evening. This is dope. And me and my freaking band, John and Aldo, we're gonna be talking Bears playoff. Bears playoff. And I'm trying to keep my composure so we keep winning. But the fact that we potentially get closer to be able to talk playoffs with these gentlemen, this is my father's favorite football team. And this is just freaking awesome. Shout out to everybody on the network, all the awesome shows, the Bar Flight Tailgate Show, they killed it. Tucci and the Goon Fantasy Championships galore. Shout out to Aldo for kicking me out the playoffs. We faced it for kicking me out the playoffs. I meant to give you credit last week. I forgot. Aldo kicked me out the playoffs, but I think they ended up in third place in the Barroom Network League. Good stuff, Aldo. But much love to everybody, man. Protect your peace. Peace through faith is more than a game. It brings us together for purpose and reason. And be cool. Take it away, John.
Well, it's always hard to follow that up, but I do want to say that I want to share your sentiments that thank you for everybody that spends time, even in the comments, whether you're here for 5 minutes or the entire hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever you do, whether it's your first time or your 50th time. Thank you so much for being part of this. This is just really cool because we're part of the Bears fan community, and we get to talk about it. We get to interact with you, and we get to talk about one of our favorite things, the Chicago Bears. And so whether it's negative, positive, or everything in between, we get to have this conversation after every Bears game, and it's always therapeutic for me. I'm sure it's therapeutic for a lot of different people just to talk about what we saw today and what we're hoping to see in the future. But what I did see today was a team that is fighting back, a team that is priming itself for a big showdown. And what we talked about earlier is a defining moment, and not just for Mitch Trubisky, the quarterback, but we're talking about a defining moment for the coaching staff, for the organization, for all the players on this team. This team was left for dead by a lot of people, myself included. I thought this 2020 season was a wash. After losing 6 straight games, they answered the bell, they came back, and now they put themselves in a position. I'm not saying they're going to win, but they put themselves in a position to beat the Green Bay Packers, make it to the playoffs, and see what they can do. And once you're in there, anything can happen. We've seen anything can happen. But the fact that they would continue playing is a testament to this head coach. I know that I give him a lot of guff, but also you got to give him credit because he kept his players playing. They were still inspired, and now they have something to play for in the final week of the NFL season, which we did not think was actually going to happen. We thought Week 17 was going to be a throwaway game. We were talking about, could this team finish 5-11? Could they finish 6-10? Could they get the number 8 overall pick and grab one of these quarterbacks? And now we're talking about the potential of them being in the playoffs. Things can change so abruptly in the NFL, and we're seeing that go in the Bears' favor right now. But once again, thanks for everyone who listened. Please tune into my show, Buffon 55, every Wednesday here on the Barroom Network. After we kind of digest this game, we'll go in depth about this Packers game and their chances against Green Bay, and what they can do differently this time around so that we can see a different result. Also, please check out the other show that Alyssa Barbieri and I do called Pass the Mic, a show all about empowering women in sports and sports media. Our most recent episode was fantastic with Dr. Justine Siegel, who was the first woman ever to coach in Major League Baseball. She was the first woman ever to throw batting practice to a Major League Baseball organization in spring training. She was the mental health coach for Team Israel in the World Baseball Classic. She is a TV consultant for the upcoming series A League of Their Own, based on the movie and obviously based on the Professional Women's Baseball League. And she, just for the hell of it, she has a PhD in sports psychology. So all of these shows are they're not time sensitive. They're a different story, talking about different struggles, about all these successful women in sports media and in sports. It's incredible, some of the things they share. And the thing about this show is they share stuff with this show that they don't share anywhere else because they don't want to. A lot of them say they don't want to bring that stuff. They haven't brought it to the attention of their supervisor because they don't want to be flagged as the person who makes trouble. And so they come to this show and they talk about it and saying, and a lot of the times we've heard, this is the first time I've ever talked about this, and we hear those struggles. So all of these shows are evergreen. Go back and listen to the entire library. That's Pass the Mic on the Barroom Network. We do that every other Thursday here on the Barroom Network. And obviously, check us back here after every Bears game with Tyler, Aldo, and I. We'll keep giving you those raw reactions every week.
And I want to correct you about one thing, John. This week, Buffon 55 is on Tuesday.
You're right. It is on Tuesday. We're having a Tuesday Buffon 55. So right. Everything I said, backtrack. Be ready. We're coming at you. We're coming at you a day early. If you can handle that, we're coming at you one day earlier.
And if you haven't experienced the Buffon 55 show, it really is an outstanding show. John does a segment. The first segment is he interviews somebody who is intimately knowledgeable, familiar with the opposing team. So we're going to have a guest who covers the Packers, and so he or she will give us the lowdown on the offensive line, the defensive line, the receivers, everything you need to know about the upcoming opponent. So that would be great. And then there's the middle segment where John does what we call the B55 segment. John answers questions within 55 seconds. Very passionate. Alyssa Barbieri, his co-host, fires these questions at him, and John does a great job of responding to those questions. In the third segment, I join in and we talk Chicago Bears football. So that is a show you must listen to. We record it on Tuesday. It'll be out late Tuesday night. And make sure you subscribe to the Bears Barroom Radio Network so you can get all of these shows. It's all for free. You just get automatic downloads when you subscribe to the Bears Barroom Radio Network. And let me also share with you that this week is a very special week here at the Bears Barroom Radio Network because we're gearing up for this big game against the Green Bay Packers. I promise you new material every day. On Monday, it's going to be Greg Gabriel and myself talking about this Jacksonville Jaguars game. We're going to dissect it. Greg is going to share his opinions. If you don't know who Greg Gabriel is, he is the former director for college scouting for the Chicago Bears. He held that job for 9 years with the Chicago Bears, so his opinion is worth listening to. On Tuesday, as I mentioned, it's B55, Buffon 55 with John Buffon and Alyssa Barbieri. On Wednesday, Dan and Aldo bare their souls. That's the show with Dan Aguirre and myself. It's R-rated. Let's just say that it's R-rated. We have a lot of fun. It's like two guys at a bar having lots of fun, and we've got some surprises for this week's show. On Thursday, Greg comes back to do a preview show of the Packers. He will have scouted the Packers out, probably by listening to Buffon 55 show, and he'll share his thoughts about what the Bears need to do in order to beat the Green Bay Packers. On Friday, it's New Year's Day, so we will probably be curing our hangover, but if we got enough energy, maybe we'll just pop on here for a little while, and maybe even invite some of you guys on and talk with you like we've done in the past. On Saturday, we've got a special program, a special preview of the Packers game planned, and then on Sunday morning at 8 a.m. Central, it is the Barfly Tailgate Show. That is a great show to get you ready for that big game for you this week on the Barroom Network, Bears Barroom Radio Network. Guys, it's always a blast doing this with you. You guys bring a special kind of energy, and just by reading the comments, all the grateful comments, we are grateful for them for spending some time with us, and we wish everybody a happy new year. Hope you had a great holiday season, whether it was Christmas or whatever you were celebrating these past couple of days, these last few days. Hope you had a really good time. And now it's ready to get ready for New Year's, and it's also Packer week, so it's going to be pretty special. Guys, again, lots of thanks to you for what you do for the network and bringing the entertainment. And let's sign things off right now. If I can find my video. Here it is.